What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make this 4-patch escape quilt. Let's get started. As always, we're going to dive right on into the cutting instructions, but before we get there, I just want to make one quick little plug-in. We've got a lot of cool jelly rolls on our online site, sewyeahquilting.com. Go ahead and go check that out. The one that I'll be using will be in the link down in the description below. So let's dive right on into the cutting instructions. So as you can see in front of me here, this is the jelly roll that we'll be using today. You'll find a link directly to this jelly roll down in the description below. And as you can see, I've already gone ahead and cut down my fabrics here. So from each strip, you cut the same things out of all the strips. You need 4 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. I've got one in green, I've got one right here in red. You'll need 2 2.5 by 4.5 inch strips, these guys here. You'll also need that in a white, again, 4.5 by 2.5 inches. My square here is a 4.5 by 4.5 perfect square, and then my long white strip is 8.5 by 2.5. As you can see, most of these fall in the jelly roll category, 2.5 inches wide. So it's very, very easy to cut out because most of the work has already been done for you. So the very first steps is we're going to attach my 2.5 by 2.5 inch strips, my squares, just like this, and we're gonna make a set of these. So I'm gonna do that now. Then I'm gonna make 2 of these, and I'm gonna take them over to my ironing board and press them out. So I've got my 2 pieces sewn together. I'm gonna lay them out so you can see them here. They should look just like that. Very, very flat, very easy here. I'm gonna turn one the opposite direction, making this into the classic 4-patch. We're gonna put right sides together, sew all the way down, which will give us our center square right there. So let me go ahead and sew this. And again, back to the iron everything out, make sure it's real flat. So right there is our 4-patch there. And we're building 2 different blocks here. We're gonna build the white and then the one with the white in the center. So our very next step is we're gonna take our white strips here and we're gonna add them onto both ends. I'm gonna slide these out of the way now. Slide these out of the way. Add them onto both ends just like so. Then once those are added, we'll be adding on our long white strips around. So let's get sewing here. And what I like to do with these is I like to attach both sides, then iron them out. But it's really, really important, just due to how many times or how many squares we have here, to continuously iron, make sure everything stays flat and neat. Again, back to the ironing board. Now it's time to add on both the top and the bottom with our long strips here. Again, right sides together. Over to the sewing machine. Back to the iron board, iron these open. And we will square this up here in just a minute, but I'm going to set this aside and work on my next square. So, next square is exactly the same, other than we have one more step in it. So, what we're going to do first is I'm going to take, again, my 2 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, sew them together like so. And then I'll sew them to my square here. And then from there, we'll move on to the next step. So let's just start with that. First one, just like that. Move on to my next one. Next one here, and notice that I turned it so they're opposites of each other. So, crucial point there. Then I'm going to take a red and a green, sew them sew them short ways together to make it a little bit longer. Move this one over here. And again, you notice that I flipped these opposite of each other. So they're supposed to be almost mirror images of each other. So the next step is I'm going to iron all of these down, and then it's the exact same construction of our one that we just did. So let me go to the iron. So bringing them all back now one by one. Again, opposites. Then we're going to line up our colors here. And line up our colors there. Now, we're going to attach the middle section first. We're going to put right sides together. And do our 1/4 inch seam. First one in, adding the second. We're going to add on our next strip here. First side on, gonna go ahead and add that next side. Back to the iron board, iron everything out. Now that we've got both of our blocks complete, it's time to square up. It's not a really hard thing to do, but we just want to make sure everything is perfectly square. We want 8.5 by 8.5 perfect squares here. So I'm going to just take a ruler, and I am lining them up with my seams here, just checking everything there. Really, you're just going to take off a little bit of fuzz on these two edges. There's not very much to take off. And really, it's just if you're a little bit off when you're sewing or something, that's really all it is. I mean, it is literally just like dust. So, set that right there. Then we're going to turn this around the other way and just double check to make sure we are on square here. Move it to my right point. There and there. And again, just a hair of fuzz on this side as well. Let me make sure that's on. Just a little bit of fuzz really is all it is. Just make sure it's square. We're gonna do that to both the blocks, and then it's time for assembly. So I've gone up and I made a couple of these up just so I can show you how you put your rows together. What I like to do, and you can do it any way you like obviously, but what I like to do is not have the same one next to each other, or in some cases, on this quilt, we matched up a couple of the same ones, but I try to make sure they're not next to each other, or else you can see very obviously what's going on there. So we take it just like so, put them right sides together, and we sew our blocks together. And you just keep attaching your rows together. Just like so, and I'm going to just keep attaching here. Which then you take it to the ironing board, but you make an entire row. Once you have your rows together, take your time to attach them really nice and neat. So the most important part when you're putting your rows together is to make sure these 4 points here, these 4 squares, come together correctly. If you got that down, your whole quilt's gonna look awesome. Let me show you what our quilt finished looks like. So we just finished the top off on this quilt here, and I think it's come out awesome. It's a super easy quilt to make, and especially since we're using jelly rolls, it makes it a really fun and fast project. But as always, if you liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. We're going to leave instructions, a PDF download, or a pattern down in the description below. My name's Teancum, teaching how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.